You knew exactly what they were doing every time, and they still do what they do. They still do the same goddamn shit that when I was playing Tomlin's defense.
Steeler football.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Every time we play the Steelers, I have at least 9 catches.
Coach,
you would think that they would change it.
They're right.
No. I am disappointed.
Good evening. Welcome to the Steelers Sanctuary Podcast. I'm Leanne Lohman, joined tonight by Zach Franciscus, Bob Quinn, Dave Ribeiro, and David Korup. Guys, how are you doing tonight?
Good.
Amazing.
How's everybody
I'm disappointed.
We've had like a couple of weeks under our belt and, just kind of continue to process the offseason. And we're going to get into the nitty gritty of Art Rooney II's interview with the media, if you can call it that, his usual like annual owners meeting and the other things that have popped up this week. But how are you guys feeling in general about where you are with the start of the offseason? And is anybody feeling more optimistic than they felt last time or angrier?
I gotta go with angrier, if I'm being honest. It's been a rough offseason, right?
Is it something specific that makes you feel that way, or is it just like watching what's happening with other teams that makes you frustrated?
It's a little of that for sure. It's just that, Rooney's press conferences have been underwhelming to disappointing. You watch the other teams in the playoffs and you're like, Jesus Christ, we're so far away from that. Yeah. We're so far away from that kind of ball. It's been a bad couple of months for Steelers fans. It really has.
It's been tough. Well, we want to start out tonight by talking about the comment that Julian Edelman made. And Bob had a little video running in the intro, but if you missed the video, this is what was said. Edelman said on his show, you knew exactly what they were doing. He was talking about the Steelers defense, and they still do what they did. They still do the same goddamn shit as when I was playing Mike Tomlin's defense. I'm like, we still have linebackers covering the 3 slot. Every time we played the Steelers, I have at least 9 catches. You would think that they would change it, but no, they do what they do. And I think Steelers fans were disheartened to hear this and frustrated. This is not the first time that, the Steelers have been called predictable and all of those things, although maybe one of the first times about our defense, right? Usually we were hearing it about Matt Canada's offense. So what was your guys' reaction to that? Dave, start us off.
Well, I fact-checked him a little bit, and he's not lying. He averaged 8 catches for 82 yards in his last 4 games against the Steelers. So he's not talking out of his ass. I mean, I was telling Dave on the prep, this is exactly why I was so down on the Steelers when they went to play the Chiefs, because I know coaches like that who know the Steelers, who played with them before, have seen it all before. And they already have the answers before the thing even starts. And it's going to be a long day for the Steelers. And we saw it. They had no answers for Kansas City. I mean, the goddamn Patriots beat us with what's that quarter? The one that played for the Browns? Bailey Zappi.
Bailey Zappi.
He beat the Steelers with Bailey Zappi. I mean, when does someone of power within the Steelers call Tomlin out and say, why does this keep happening? That's what I want to know. When does Rooney say, enough is enough? Because until he does, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change.
Yeah, I mean, it's beyond sad at this point. It's one thing for it to be kind of whispered, and we see it with these good offensive coaches who just shred the defense. Yep. But when a wide receiver retired, he was a pretty high-level player, comes out and just is like, hey, you're a joke, laughing at it. You haven't changed anything in 10 years. I mean, at that point, it needs to drive the message home. The problem is Art Rooney is asleep. I mean, if you came after and watching him this week, if you don't realize that Art Rooney doesn't give a fuck, then I'm sorry. It's time to wake up. He doesn't give a fuck. As long as they win some games, Jim Rooney had it right. He went out and gave a mild little denial about the Jim Rooney thing. Jim Rooney had it right. If we perform and win 9-10 games, that's better than a lot of franchises. Hey, bottom line is, as Steeler fans, we need to be frustrated. We need to be mad. We need to make our voices heard. It's probably not going to change anything, but at least we won't hold it in and we'll all feel better.
I kind of feel about the comments from Edelman are kind of like whenever I was younger and I knew my room wasn't clean. And I was in my room every single day and I was looking at it and I knew it. When my mom brought it up, I was mad because that is my business. That is my room. I know it's messy, but it's mine to talk about. So when Julian Edelman brought it up, I'm like, well, yeah, I know. I know that we like that, but can you please not talk about it? Can you please not just flaunt it like you are? I'm agreeing with you. I know he's right, but it was frustrating to hear, and it was frustrating that it wasn't for the first time. But I'll be honest, I only have so much emotional energy this offseason, and it is legitimately all saved up for what I'm calling the inevitability of Najee. And I don't have anything that I can spare outside of that because I know what that's going to do. So outside of that, I have to kind of breathe and say, yeah, I'm frustrated, but nah. So with this, yeah, I'm frustrated, but I kind of calmed myself down by saying, was this anything I didn't know? And then I said no, and then I moved on. So that's how I felt about it.
But doesn't it hurt a little bit more when somebody, vocalizes it and says it? Like sometimes maybe you can see it and say, well, maybe I don't see. There's something I don't see because I'm not a coach. I'm not a defensive coordinator. Maybe something I don't see. But when a wide receiver, an opposing wide receiver says, they put linebackers on me. I knew what they were going to do. I was open all day. It just stings. It stings.
Yeah.
And it irritates, especially because I can't stand
Julian Edelman, though, is like he might as well be a Brown or a Raven. Like I dislike him that much.
Oh, me too.
That unit that he played for. And I just assume they fucking hate us too. And so there's always a piece of me that listens to the shit he says, which is not to say that I don't think that there isn't a predictability component to the Steelers defense. I think their defense is simple. I think it's part of what has made them able to play some of these younger guys and get guys off faster and, these more simple defenses. But when you play these more challenging offenses, you have to level up. And I feel like that's where the disconnect happens. Do you know what I mean? Obviously their defense isn't terrible. I mean, we were leading statistical categories earlier this season, before things fell apart. So I think when they play the really good teams, though, is where things fall apart. Yeah. And obviously that was the team Edelman was on, but I also think he's a salty bitch. So there's nothing to be salty about because they owned us for a decade.
I just felt like we're already down. You're kicking us while we're already down.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Like shut up.
We're dead already. You don't got to shoot us again. we got it. Like we know shit's fucked up right now. Thanks. Yeah,
it stings.
Fucking asshole, really. It's
especially from him.
Asshole got to run his mouth, really.
Because we couldn't.
Whatever.
We couldn't cover him.
Yeah, I said it a couple of weeks ago. The national media is starting to change the narrative. This is all stuff we who have been upset for a while now all know this. So it seems like, oh, you're just repeating it. But this is news to 95% of the country that is looking on being like, well, winning record, he's good, isn't he? And that's why when we were doing the grades the other day, you guys were laughing at me. And I was like, no, it's terrible. It's been terrible for a long time now.
Yeah, I spent the whole podcast defending him. And I still think there's talent in what he does. I do. But when he goes up against good coaches, and that's generally what you face in the playoffs, this is what happens. And I can't defend that. I can't defend that at all. It's, Edelman just said everything we've been thinking, and my head's going to explode. The worst part is nothing's going to be done to correct it. That's the worst part. They're running this back as is. They're not changing anything. They're not changing coaches. They're not changing players. They're not trading TJ. So where does this end?
I saw a guy on social media posting.
And now Art Rooney said he's not retiring. That whole talk about maybe 2 years.
No. I did not hear that. What?
Yeah, we did an article on that this afternoon.
There was a guy on social media I've been going back and forth with for a couple of days now, who's talking about, well, Terrell Austin has never had a chance to coach. He's coached 8 defenses between Detroit, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh, but he's never had a chance.
Who said that?
It's some guy on social media. I mean, he doesn't not have a point because he's acknowledging that Tomlin has been running the defense for him. At think he's a little overboard with the Austin is good. He's just never been allowed. It came out, I think, yesterday that Austin doesn't even make $1 million a year. I mean, there are defensive coordinators at Penn State who make more money than Terrell Austin does. I mean, so not only do we get, in my opinion, a below average defensive coordinator, at least we're paying below average prices. I guess that's something.
Don't get me started on the Rooney II thing. Well, we don't want to go down that path again because
I think it doesn't feel a little bit like a snowball. Like I remember how we felt before the bad stretch of games, and that got us into a bad place, and then we started to feel worse about it. Then the season ended, and then the playoffs happened, and that happened, and it's been one thing after another where we haven't had a chance to sit there and collect ourselves and say, okay, well, let's see. So it's kind of hard. I feel like I'm reacting to things every day that I'm like, well, that's frustrating. Well, that's frustrating. So that's why I think the general anger in the Pittsburgh fandom that at least I've seen seems to be at an all-time high, because it's not just the individual things, it's everything. It's a culmination of the thing and the order at which they happened. It was the collapse, it was the playoff game, it was the lack of change. So any one of those things we probably could have breathed, but the succession of them happening is where you have pretty much, I see, one of three options. Either stay neutral and hope, do what I'm doing is exhaustive hope, which I'm just exhausted trying to keep this up, or you get really angry. And I don't think any of those three are very healthy options.
Well, getting back to what Edelman said, it's a big indication as to why the Steelers lose some of the games that they should win by a landslide. If you get a competent offensive coordinator and he watches the film and he sees their coverages and sees what they do, if he's smart about it, and like you use the Patriots, it's right. Even last year, Bailey Zappi went in there and we got clowned, and it's because they knew what we do, because we never change it. And that's why other teams win. Like this year, we lost to the Colts that are not that great, and we lost to the Cowboys at home that really were not that great, and heavily injured on defense too. So just it's why if you have a competent offensive coordinator, they see that we don't change, so they put their strength against our weakness, and we don't change. The Ravens game proved that we don't change. Even in game, we hardly make adjustments. So yeah, it's sad and getting sadder.
Until they start adding players in free agency and in the draft, it's just going to be a malaise of just – it's hard to get excited about this team right now. It's just because we've seen them fail the way they always fail. And then from ownership to the head coach, they don't say, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to change this, we're going to go in this direction. It's just more of the same, more of the same, more of the same.
Oh, they say we're going to change. They just don't do it.
Well, Tomlin said that.
They say we're going to change, but they don't do it. That's the difference.
And last year, at least on the surface, even though it didn't translate, at least on the surface, we saw, okay, new offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach, new wide receivers coach. Okay, maybe something's going to be different. We all had hope. This year, it's like, okay, well, we got away with, changes last year. Let's just say we're going to change and see what happens this year. See how pissed off they get. It's for the first time in 50 years, it's like the Steelers are poking at the fan base going, ha, 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 ha.
The only reason they changed last year is because Matt Canada was historically bad. Like, historically bad. So they had to. They were losing the locker room. They had to make a change. Otherwise, he might still be here.
At Penguins games to fire Matt Canada.
Yes.
Things were at an unprecedented level. Do you know what I mean? Of frustration. And so let's shift over a little bit and factor in some more of the talk about Rooney's conversation with the media. So for people who don't know, he does a very closely controlled media session. Mark Cavalli described it on his podcast the other day. He said they set up like some tables in like a U shape, and where you get your assigned seat is probably going to tell you how many questions you're able to get off. So, the Jerry Dulocks are way up there in the front, where like the Jeff Hathorns are all the way back in the back. Shocked. And, you tried to scream out questions. He said there's like 12 reporters there. It sounded to me like it wasn't something, he said it wasn't something where like questions were pre-approved. I saw fans saying that on social media. He said, no, you, just like any other press conference, you kind of call out your questions and, hope he hears you. So he talked, obviously took a lot of questions about the frustration from fans. He acknowledged it, said that his inbox has been flooded, and he certainly recognizes that fans are frustrated. But he made it pretty clear that they aren't moving on from Tomlin and that there wouldn't be, his words were, wholesale changes, which tells me you're not firing either head coordinator. Yeah. So what did you guys think about what he had to say? I mean, I know you've already kind of voiced your frustrations. Was there anything specific that really stood out to you?
I thought right off the bat he took a shot at Fields and Wilson's play.
Oh.
You thought what?
What was that?
I thought he took a shot at them.
Oh, really?
You think so?
Right off the bat.
What was the comment?
He asked, "What was the difference between those teams that we saw this past weekend and now?" And he went quarterback, the quarterback play. I thought that's a shot.
That is a shot
at Fields and Wilson. But then he says you want to try to bring one of them back. But it's like, dude, you just took a shot at him. So I don't know if that's a good way to start negotiations. Well, you sucked. So where do you want to start out with this negotiation? But that was just me.
Typical lawyer thing, and wouldn't pin down, obviously they have a preference for one. I mean, they can't even really, they can make an offer, but neither quarterback's going to accept it at this point. So, he was very lawyerly like you would expect, but I thought it was kind of interesting because he said that one of the things they want to do this year is with whatever quarterback they have starting, they want to build a quarterback room that's similar so that it isn't like a whole new game plan if somebody gets injured. Yeah. And I thought that was interesting because, the only quarterback under contract for 2025 is Skylar Thompson, who's a mobile quarterback. So maybe that is
those hands are smaller than Kenny Pickett's.
The sign that he is hoping for Justin Fields. So
that's
are Jalen Milrose, and they keep mock drafting him to us.
No.
And his hands are smaller than Jalen Milrose.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Zach, what were you going to say? I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. Rooney kind of frustrated me because I put probably too much faith in what he said last year, where I felt like he was not putting Tomlin on a hot seat, but he was kind of saying, things have to do better, and then we had this, and the fact that it kind of seemed like he just shrugged off what was said last year and just kind of moved on to the next press. That frustrated me personally. I was like, you have to get. Because I'm getting more and more frustrated from a journalistic integrity standpoint that whether it's on Twitter, you can say anything you want with very little consequence or blowback for saying the thing. And if Rooney's got that too, that concerns me because I held what he said last year as true, that if we fell short, you were going to take it seriously and treat it as if we had actually fallen short. And I didn't feel that from him. I felt too much of a spin doctor-ness to it. And I will say that I didn't know he was a lawyer. I was having a massive, massive brain fart, and I couldn't remember his name. I'm not kidding. So I just typed in Steelers owner. He comes up as American lawyer. It does not say Steelers owner football anywhere underneath his name. It says that's right off the bat. I'm like, oh, so weird, weird stuff. And so he painted the pot from what he said last year and not backing it up this year. That frustrated me.
Yeah, and he waffled when he said, about the record and how they had a winning record in the playoffs, but I'm disappointed. But we played the Chiefs and the Eagles, and those two teams are in the Super Bowl, so that explains some of it. It's like, well, which is it, buddy? Are you disappointed?
Everybody had to know that he was going to make an excuse. I mean, that compressed schedule gave him an automatic excuse or an out. I mean, automatically.
Yeah, well, I mean, and now there's more excuses floating out today with, Ian Rappaport reports Matthew Stafford is committed to coming back this year. So the Rams are scrambling to try to sign him. And now there's all the rumors that the Steelers should call the Rams and offer something for Matthew Stafford. Look, Stafford's a good quarterback. I like him. He'd be better than what we have. Yeah. But, I mean, bottom line is, I heard the point Pony was making today. Why in the hell would Matthew Stafford come here? Hey, Matt, good news. Steelers want to trade for you. I'm good. I'll retire.
Yeah, it's like going from a Ferrari to a Prius. I mean, you go from Sean McVay and his offense to the Steelers' offense. He's not going to want to come here. Yeah, that's not happening.
And if Rooney really does want the quarterback thing, I'm hoping, and we'll get the quarterback situation. That'll be a fun episode. But I want younger. That's like if I was writing down, I don't know if you guys saw Game Day with Draft Day with Kevin Costner, but he writes something down on a piece of paper to remind himself the whole day. that would be my thing. If I had to remind myself of one thing the entire time I'm going to the quarterback thing, younger. Do not go older, because that will frustrate me. I don't feel like an older guy, the way we run our offense, is going to be a good bridge quarterback. But
how about somebody?
How
about somebody Jaden Daniels' age? Would you be good with that?
Okay. You talking about Justin Fields?
Depends on who it is.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels. Justin Fields is less than a year older than Jaden Daniels.
Well, no, I mean, Justin Fields counts as younger.
No, he definitely doesn't.
Fields is younger. It's the Russell Wilson, the Aaron Rodgers, Matt Stafford, all that make my stomach turn.
All five of us are in agreement. We prefer Justin Fields, right? Is there anybody?
I think so. Yeah, I do.
Zach?
Yeah, Justin.
Leanne, same thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I know it's underwhelming, but
it seems like the best option.
I mean, I got to say, like, I don't, I kind of agree with Relic saying that there, just really isn't a quarterback. There just isn't options out there. So, I mean, you read like, oh, well, Matthew Stafford. And I think that the whole, do you want to go to the Steelers is not even relevant, because the conversation never happens, because it's made up bullshit that people write an article. Because I mean, I could write an article about anything and put it out tomorrow, and the Steelers are going to put out a big offer for Tua Tagovailoa or Jalen Hurts or whoever the fuck, right? You could write anything, and none of it is
okay. Name me the last big name offensive player who said they want to come to the Steelers.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it never even gets to the point of the conversation, because I don't think any of that's happening. I don't think the Steelers are attempting to make a move for Matthew Stafford. I don't think.
No, they're not.
Because I remember when I was writing the free agent articles, the trade articles, legitimately what I would do most of the time, unless it was for a specific one, I would go to the list and I would go, that one, and that one. And I would write my story. So I know I'm not a full-on joke, but I guarantee right around this time, a lot of people are saying, well, I got to fill word counts. And
if you
Matthew
don't think
Stafford contract thing. So
come on, if you don't think T. Higgins is sitting with his agent right now going, Pittsburgh's got to pay a tax. If you want me to go to Pittsburgh,
he's going to be the test case. Yeah, he's going to be the test case. If he comes here, then we're all wrong.
I think the Steelers have to overpay to get.
That's a good point.
Yes,
they're already talking.
That's the thing, and I don't know that. I think that's why he's not the test case, because I think that because they know that the Steelers need him so badly that they are going to overpay for him. Do you know what I mean? So I don't even know. Maybe he's all about the money, and that's all he cares about. I don't. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Actually, and I'm glad we brought this up, because in the Art Rooney interview, he kind of made out like the quarterback decision is going to decide the wide receiver decision. Did you guys pick up on that?
Yep.
Yeah.
So how do you not go with Justin Fields? It's going to be around $10 million. You'll have plenty of money to go get yourself a wide receiver. And
it's not going to be $10 million. It's not.
Okay.
I'm telling you right now.
Market value.
It'll be something else to go. It'll be cheaper than Russell Wilson.
If he goes somewhere else, it will be because they overpay him too. I'll say that.
Market value is not going to get determined until free agency starts, and when Justin Fields shoots to the top of the free agency list for quarterbacks, because I don't think teams are going to pay Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones more than Justin Fields. He'll be the top name. Now, that doesn't mean he's getting $50 million, but if you think Fields is signing a $10 million contract, I'm thinking there's at least 3 teams who will offer him $25 per year for 2 or 3 years. Off the bat.
Do you think he gets more than Russell Wilson per year?
Yes.
I think it's a possibility.
Oh, you do?
I think it's a possibility because he's younger and he's, athletic. And
because it's just strange to me how I'm hearing, it's going to be $30+ million per for Wilson, yet the market value for Fields is only 8.9 or whatever.
Well, I think that was the projected market value for Wilson when we were 10-3, and then I think when we started losing those games, I think that numbers started to slide. So maybe some people are still saying that, but I certainly wouldn't think so.
Yeah. Russell Wilson's worth $30 million. Just ask him; he'll tell you.
Anybody who pays him that kind of money is out of their mind. And I hope it's not the Steelers.
Because let's say Russell Wilson doesn't play at all, he's still making money from Denver, right?
I think this is the last year.
I think it's done after this year.
Yeah, this is the last year.
Was just the 1 year? Okay.
Yeah.
I think so.
He made his $40 million off of them.
Relic would like us to sign Andy Dalton. He might find himself just booted out of the chat.
Yeah.
Good Lord,
come on.
Relic.
Technically, we all seen the social media thing. Andy Dalton's first 5 years versus Joe Burrow. Just saying.
Don't go there, Bob. Don't go there
Bonnie,
again.
it's a participation thing. It's not the pro. I'm not going to get old man on a porch, but my goodness, I do remember when Hawaii and all that, and there were I get really nostalgic when I talk about the Pro Bowl, and then I get really angry and old man on the porch about it. So I really do. The Pro Bowl I feel was taken from me. I really do. That was a thing for us.
Yeah, the real one back in the day.
It's a joke now.
It's a joke now.
So,
honestly, it's been a joke for 25 years.
It's like seventh grade PE class now.
Yeah.
It is.
I thought Rooney was interesting. He was like non-committal with George Pickens. He was like, he's got room to grow, and we got to figure out what we got in him. That's the one trade I think might actually happen, because I think it's sounding more and more like they've had it with him, and they might want to move on.
I worry a lot about that, and we have to be so careful that we don't cut off our nose to spite our face with that. I mean, you let Pickens go, we don't have anybody else, right? So we couldn't seal the deal on a wide receiver too. So now you're going to replace somebody of Pickens' caliber and still have to go get the wide receiver too we couldn't get last year. And let's hope replace half of the bullshit players we had in that room before. I mean, maybe keep Calvin Austin, and I don't know that I want any of the other ones. And
I mean, I retracted my feeling on it when I looked at that stuff. I was like, oh no, this would be a disaster if they cut him or trade him. Or no, trade him. It depends on what they would get.
Especially this year where the free agency is not that great. It's T. Higgins
and
then nobody.
Yeah,
and the draft is a little off. You know,
the draft is go. Somebody
there are some guys in the draft.
There is, but it's not like there's no Malik Neighbors in this draft.
We did that with Roman Wilson, and we don't know what we have in him. You know what I mean? So then what do you wind up with Calvin Austin as your wide receiver one?
Yeah, I know.
They've backed themselves in the corner big time. They're stuck.
Well,
that would be
if you've been following my mock drafts on Tuesdays, you'll know I've mocked Jaden Higgins, Trey Harris, Torrey Horton, and Savion Williams. You know what all those guys got in common? They're over 6'2" tall.
Yeah,
get big receivers.
I'm not caught up. Okay, thank you. I'm not caught up. I was not sure what position you were talking about. I'm not caught up. I'm like, please tell me what we're talking about.
But none of those guys, Bob, are even. I don't know. I like Savion Williams, but
Jaden Higgins is it. Yeah,
here we go.
If you told me now we get Savion Williams and Jaden Higgins, we're good. We're good.
I don't know
because Savion Williams is a Deebo Samuel type person.
2 rookies.
Yeah, it's the rookie thing.
Yeah, that worries me.
I would.
You talk about look. If we had set wide receivers and he was going to be the third, I'd be.
I mean, they're no Scotty Miller, of course, but I mean,
listen, I get you 100%, but that's what scares me even more. Is you're going to ask one of these guys in the second or third round to be wide receiver 2 or 1?
We need a known quantity.
But in general, also, did you guys also notice that with this interview, he kind of harped, but he definitely when they brought up defense, they brought up the D line. And if you guys been watching Twitter, they've been watching D linemen hard.
And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of really good ones.
So I think they're definitely taking a D lineman.
Well, he named that as his critical area.
If you're going to take
top 2 rounds, you think you're going to take one?
It sounds like the first round. Tomlin hasn't left the D line room the whole time at the Senior Bowl. That's all he's been is watching D linemen. So
I don't know that he needs to take one with the first round.
It sounds like they're going.
I'm not sure.
This speaks to an antiquated draft philosophy. Running backs, linebackers, defensive tackles, interior defensive linemen are not first-round draft picks anymore. They're just not. Unless it's something amazing and spectacular, generational, once in a time. You cannot pick a defense, especially in this draft. There's a lot of B-plus guys in this draft. There is no generational talent at defensive tackle in this draft.
Well,
this is the problem.
The Eagles took Jalen Carter in the first round.
He's
in the top 10. And by the way, he's a generational talent.
There was another top D lineman. Didn't they take 2 D linemen?
Yeah, they took 2. They took 2 years in a row, I think.
He was
I know you're talking
Davis.
about.
Who is
again? Trevor something?
A generational type.
I'm just saying, if something like that's in this draft, the Steelers could take it if he falls. That's the way I look at it.
get used to it, get ready for it, because it's probably going to happen. I mean, Bob, there's no generational talent at positions they need. There's none at quarterback. There's none at wide receiver.
I just think that if the wide receiver that they covet is not there, they could take the D lineman. If not the D lineman, then it's going to be the corner. It's going to be
wide
one
receivers
of those
different. They don't have to be generational at pick 21. Wide receivers different.
Go ahead, Leon.
I think they're going to go best player available first round.
Now
they haven't done that in 5 years.
I think that's what they're going to do. They're almost going to have to, because what they need is
get back to it.
There in most of the mocks, and so I think
that's right.
They're available, and then the second, third, fourth round will start to flesh out those players they need. But I think they're going to be nervous to blow another first round draft pick. I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to say we have bust. I don't think that that's fair, but we've definitely screwed up and wasted some of them with like Pickett. I mean, that's pretty close to a bust.
That is a bust. I mean, and Broderick Jones is teetering on. I won't call him a bust yet, but he's on the cusp.
Year, and then he's on the cusp. I agree with that. He's not there yet.
The one player that I'm fine with the best player available, but I've seen one player who I wouldn't mind if he was on the Steelers, but he would be subjected to another 4 years of what Najee would be if we take a running back in the first round again. I've seen a couple people mocking and seeming excited. I'm like, I get you're excited now about that. You're going to be really upset about that later, that you're doing it backwards. So we don't. I even if it's also on Jeffrey, people are talking. Or is that his name, Genty?
Genty.
I'm sorry, Genty. Yeah, people are saying if he falls to us, I understand that we need. But I've seen Nick Farabaugh and I forget the name of the guy who's in charge of all of the draft prospects.
Jim Nagy.
He was talking, and he said, thank you. Yeah, Nagy. He said that this is a possible 30 running back deep draft where there are 30, not just good running backs in this draft. And that's true. You wait until the fourth round because, we will need one because Najee, I'm sorry. I'm growing to
accept ahead of yourself,
they're everywhere. They're everywhere. So I'm really hoping that we control ourselves when it comes to that running back. And even if he is sitting there in the first round, someone taps someone on the shoulder and say, no, we can get him later. And then we get somebody else because that running back in the first round thing, that's going to be a rough existence for that guy for a couple of years in Pittsburgh.
Look,
it didn't go well for Najee.
Look, bottom line is the first round picks, borderline bust. 9 out of the last 10 Steelers first round draft picks could be classified as busts.
Yeah.
TJ Watt is the only first round pick in 10 years.
Yeah. I'm not arguing that point. It's been a rough go.
No.
I put an asterisk by Devin Bush because of his injury. I don't think you can call him a bust because I think he would have been fine if he hadn't gotten hurt.
I mean, he did have a good rookie season, but
I think something happened to him with that injury, like whether it was like a brain thing and he was scared or he physically never recovered. But I think he was scared to get hit.
I said the same thing. Mentally, it did something to that.
That means he's a bust.
Yeah,
I think a bust is somebody that you overinflate their talent and they don't produce. And he did produce and then got hurt. So he almost falls like in like a Ryan Shazier category. Do you know what I mean? Shazier's not a bust.
No,
I think actually Bush was a direct result. I feel of Shazier. I felt like after we lost Shazier, we spent 1 or 2 years chasing another Shazier, and that gave us
like a decade.
I was gonna say, I argue it's been longer than 2 years.
Yeah, I think we've been chasing it ever since.
Yeah, literally.
Oh, that's
and you just spent all your free agent money on one last year. That they're obsessed with the inside linebacker position at the cost of other positions.
To their fairness, the year before we got killed.
Tackle, running back. They're
prioritizing. We got killed not having anybody.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely needed somebody. So I don't know. Maybe you think like Patrick Queen was not the right person or went too far, but we needed somebody.
Right. I remember when we signed him.
I mean, it's a good thing we have these high-paid guys to give up 300 yards rushing in a playoff game. Where could we ever find people to do that?
I think it's one of two things, because if you're going to say that it's Tomlin's fault in the scheme, then that's one thing. If you're going to say it's the guys on the defense, you have to kind of. It's not. It can't be.
Why can't I see nobody?
There we go.
We just all disappeared for some reason.
Technical difficulties.
All right, I got two comments here I want to ask you guys about. Vaughn says safety is a sneaky need for the team. Do you guys agree with that? And if so, where do you see that fitting into the draft?
Somebody
No.
watched my draft video.
But I don't see it as a need, right?
I don't think it's a need.
We're not
And
gonna
I think
get
they have
rid
two
of
good safeties
Minka.
right now.
Depth.
And
I
then
think we have one of
Deshaun
them.
Elliott.
Yeah, Deshaun
Yeah.
Elliott
I
and
can see
Minka.
depth.
Later
and
rounds.
then Relic says, screw drafting defense, draft all offense people because our offense needs all the help.
100%
I
agree.
appreciate that, but I will.
I thought they were going to use
and
any
I'm not
of them. I
trying.
agree.
Not trying to be a downer, but remember, we're bringing them into a specific scheme. So
I know,
I
but-
understand. So I'm hoping that because we've decided to run this back when we do the draft and free agency, don't go for the player. Reverse it. Look at Arthur Smith, make that your filter, and then pick a player. Because if you pick someone that you're
but then
hoping he'll use well, he's not going to use it well. I
We'll have
don't.
16
That's the only
Cordell
way I can
Pattersons
hope.
if we do that, though. We'll be screwed.
Well, no, I'm not saying ask him. I'm saying look at what he does and use
Yeah.
that as a filter.
Okay.
And put it no, do not ask him what he wants because it will be Cordell Patterson everywhere. Can he play quarterback? No, he can't, Arthur.
Look, there's a solid chance that they're going to ask Minka to take a pay cut. So, yes, safety. I 1,000,000% agree. I didn't take one in my mock draft mostly because I didn't like the guys who were there. But I do think that safety is a low-key need for the Steelers because we play more 3 safety than anybody else. If we can get rid of KZ and bring along a rookie, or what I'd really like to see if we don't draft a safety is convert Corey Trice to a safety.
Is KZ a free agent, though?
I believe he is. If he isn't, he should be.
Yeah, he should be.
I think he is. That's why I think there is some, I think there is a chance they could go one later in the draft for depth. That's the way I look at it. So possibly.
Yeah. I'm not saying first 3 rounds or anything. I'm saying if the opportunity presents itself, you got to get it.
No, same here. I think it'll be later in the draft. They would probably go get one for depth. Absolutely.
And Relic,
One last thing on Rooney.
go
ahead, Zach.
Oh, no, I was just going to – I think that is specifically for brand new guys because Arthur Smith's been a head coach. He's had the experience. So I think people who are brand new that are coming in first year, figuring it out second year, that I get. This is Arthur Smith. Dude's been in the NFL but he's been a head coach. So if he still needs a second core, a year to – then that's iffy to me. But sorry, we'll go with the Rooney thing. But
one more thing about
– is a free agent, by the way.
Yeah.
I thought so.
Pomp asked Rooney about, the lack of Tomlin's coaching tree, and is that a concerning thing? And Rooney, this is where he's so unaware. He's like, well, we've had coaches on the staff have interviews, so they must be, But dude, they didn't get the jobs. Nobody left.
Yeah.
This is how unaware he is. What are you talking about? It's the frustration level with Rooney for me is just through the roof right now. He's completely oblivious to what's going on. Oh, we had a couple interviews. You had 2 for what? Arthur Smith, which he was never going to get those jobs. And what was the other one? Their defensive backs coach got an interview or something. They didn't get hired. This coaching staff is not good. And there's not enough, and they're not good. And when are they going to realize it?
they're not enough.
They're not.
But luckily, we're not paying very much.
Relic has advice for you, Dave.
Send him an angry letter, yeah. He'll follow with the fucking 5 million other ones he's gotten.
They
In
did
the
say
fireplace.
I don't know if I'm hoping. I don't know which one I hope. I don't know if I hope that he's oblivious to it, or that he is just so unprepared for questions that he would rather not answer. That is what ends up coming out.
I can't imagine they don't prep him with these questions. I can't imagine he'd sit there without. He has to be, right?
That's even worse. That's frustrating.
It's Bob Papiano. He works for the site, right?
Well,
and he's a lawyer.
And Art's a high-priced
He should know
lawyer.
prep.
He didn't say anything. He didn't know what the hell he was saying.
He is so non-committal on everything. There's no straight answer from him at all. He's a lawyer.
By the way, even if they didn't prep him on exactly what the questions are, it would take 5 seconds of talking to anybody to know exactly what you're going to hear about from the, you know what I mean? Like what questions are going to come up. It's the same shit over and over again. The Murph says the Steelers need to go back to a 4-3 defense.
They haven't run a 4-3 in.
That's LeBeau.
The 70s Steelers? No, that was 7.
Oh, even that.
LeBeau was.
LeBeau
was 3-4. Yeah. It was 3-4. It's been a long.
Noel switched. Yeah,
What is
Noel
it?
switched in '83.
So, Mark,
It's a
are you
3-4.
dating yourself? Did you
It was
go to
83.
middle
Noel
school with
switched it
Bob?
with Woody Woodenhofer.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, I thought it was a long time.
I don't think that's the problem. I think it's just
No.
Look, I'll make. Well, no, I'll make it real simple. If you're going to play a Tampa 2, you have to play a 4-3. The problem is that they're trying to do some kind of hybrid so they can pretend like the defense was complicated because Dick LeBeau ran it 10 years ago. With the 3-4, the Tampa 2 does not work with a 3-4 scheme. The Tampa 2 works with a 4-3 scheme. I don't like the Tampa 2 personally, but if you're going to fucking play it, 2 defensive tackles, 2 defensive ends, which if you notice, what we're doing is we're playing Alex and TJ as the defensive ends in a de facto 4-3, but they are not committing to going to get the linebackers behind them. If you're going to do it, do it.
Yeah, you're right. It's a hybrid mess.
Yeah.
And that's why the 4-3, the 4-3 could, I genuinely see some benefits, but it's kind of a Madden-like approach. I'm looking at the roster and I'm like, we don't have
the roster's not built for
4-3
right now. You'd have to start over.
Is the Eagles a 4-3?
3-4 either.
I'm trying to remember the Eagles. Were the Eagles in a 4-3? Is that what they run? Their defense?
Yes.
Yeah, they run a 4-3.
And the reason why I'm asking this is because Wido is a part of this organization, and they're hardcore looking at D linemen. So I just wonder if he's going to have any more of an impact with them, maybe wanting to go that route.
Yeah,
I mean,
look,
that's interesting.
If you were going to go 4-3, you move Queen to outside linebacker. You put Peyton Wilson in the middle. He's the perfect guy to be in the middle of a Tampa 2 because he can be a cover linebacker, and then you go get another linebacker. Mm-hmm. Tell Alex to put on 20 pounds. TJ is already getting there. He's over 30, and do the 4-3.
Yeah, it's not going to work like that. You'd have to draft a legitimate defensive end, someone who's 280 who can play defensive line.
This draft,
you'd have to move on from TJ. You can't just tell Highsmith to put 20 pounds on it as he's going to be just as good as he is. I mean, unless you kick him to outside linebacker and just then you'd have to draft 2 defensive ends or sign him.
He's not
you got to change everything.
Guy. He's not fat, but he's not a skinny guy. I think Alex could put on 15, 20 pounds of muscle.
Alex,
well, here's the thing.
Every day. Let's
hire a legit defensive coordinator to design the defense and draft players around it. How about that? Instead of playing these games we've been playing for 20.
Well, that would be
30
there you go.
Look, if we're going to fantasy land, then sure, let's do that.
That's fantasy land.
I know.
All about fantasy land. Let's do it.
I know.
Let's fix the Pittsburgh Steelers, shall we?
So
the kid Verse from the Rams isn't that big.
What?
The kid Jared Verse plays defensive end for the Rams. He's not that big.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's only like 260. He plays defensive end.
Leanne, go ahead.
So every week or every show, I should say, we've been talking about a different positional group and talking about the players that we had in 2024, kind of who are free agents and what we see. I know with you on that. What we see is our need for 2025, what we think should be happening. I should have worn my Naj jersey. So tonight we're going to talk about the running backs a little bit. Our 2 main running backs have been Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren for the past few years. Both are free agents. The Steelers sounds like they're likely to let Najee go. They didn't pick up his 5th-year option, but they are looking to keep Jaylen Warren, who is, I believe, a restricted free agent. And then, of course, we have Dave's favorite player, Cordarrelle Patterson, who's also with us in 2024. So, guys, what do you think about this wide receiver group, and what do you think should happen in 2025?
Running back group.
Running back group. That's what I meant to say.
Excuse me. Thank you.
I have an emotional side of it that I am understanding is not the business side, because a little while ago I said that I don't know if it was well before I was on podcast. It was like 3 or 4 years ago. I told my family that the Steelers need to take some of the emotion out of it, get back to a little bit more business, and if I say that, I have to back it up. It's good business. I don't want it to be. If you say you're not going to pick that up, and you're going into a draft where there are 30-some good running backs, and you're not looking to me, you're not looking for a starting running back, you're looking for the complement to Jaylen. Look at what made that duo good and bring someone in, because if they try to go Jaylen as a workhorse, it's going to go badly. because he's not a workhorse. Jalen is he's a Robin, and he needs someone there to make sure that. So that's.
I'm concerned that Steelers fans have vastly overinflated what Jalen Warren is capable of doing in their heads, and they envision him as like Derrick Henry if he's just cut loose or whatever, and I don't see that is not the case.
It's the people who specifically, and their only argument is that Jalen was better than Najee, don't want to look deeper at the scheme and our predictability that goes into it and all of that. Regardless of that, Najee is most likely gone, and what that means to me is you rebuild this room. And the only silver lining and the joy I'm finding in this is what a great draft class to do that in. Wow, we are lucky and privileged as a franchise who loves to run the ball to have this draft class looking us in the face when you want to rebuild your running back room. So don't mess this up, is what I'm saying. If you're going to say Najee is not the guy, which I vehemently disagree with, as everybody knows, then you got to make sure you back that up and go into this and come out well. So I have high expectations when it comes to that.
So are we all in agreement that they should be looking to draft somebody to replace Najee, and rather than we're not trying to find some free agent, right?
I don't know if I feel that way.
Okay, that's what I want to hear. Tell me who you think we should go after.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Leanne, I really like J.K. Dobbins. I really do.
It wouldn't cost you much. I wouldn't be mad at that.
That's why. Like, I looked
and for the two halves of football he plays a year, he'll be great. Go ahead.
Yeah. Anyways, market value $7.3 million, had 905 yards, only 13 games. Took one to the house for a long of 61 yards. Sound familiar? That's something Barkley does a lot. It'd be nice to have that. He's only 26 years old, had 0 fumbles, had 150 yards, 3 yards receiving. The one thing is that he does get injured. But when the guy, yeah, exactly, Vaughn, he can't stay healthy, so it gives him a cheap, lower market value. To me, if you bring back Warren and you add Dobbins, to me, that's two different guys that are both dynamic that I think would work. Now, if he had an expensive price tag, I would say no. But
it's not bad.
What would you pay for him? What would be reasonable?
I would say around what his market value is, $7.3 million. Anything between, I'll say, $6 to $8 million, I would be okay with.
That seems about what they want to pay a running back, right?
Look, we don't have a guy that takes it to the house. This guy can do it. And when he's healthy, he is very good. So I wouldn't mind adding him, especially if you're not going to draft one. It just depends on what route they go.
And they could actually do both.
They could.
Yeah.
They could do both. I mean,
I wouldn't be mad
have a guy.
That's the question. I know I make fun of Cordell Patterson a lot, but do they keep him this year, or do they? Because I'd like to see him start fresh and get rid of Patterson, just bring Warren back. But we know how
just Warren and build around him.
Yeah,
we know how Arthur Smith feels about Cordell. It's a joke, but it's real. He likes Cordell Patterson.
He had to have some kind of a wake up call. I mean, you just can't carry that many players on the roster to keep somebody as a mascot. So,
yeah, I don't know.
But the problem with Dobbins and $7 million would be a huge waste on him, because he's been in the league 5 years. He's played a full season, never. I mean, he's missed a season. He's played half a season. He played one game in a season.
He would be cheap, and that would be a good way to save money to go.
$7 million ain't cheap.
Or
no, I don't think
$7 million ain't cheap.
Yeah, I don't even think he gets $7 million.
There you go. Relic said 6 injuries, no thanks. Hamstring tear 21, LCL tear 21, meniscus trim 21, ACL tear 21, Achilles tear 23, MCL sprain 24. Look, Relic, he wasn't hurt in 2022, so can't have everything.
Sounds like an Omar Khan guy already.
Yards in 13 games.
I will say this:
to the house for
he only played 8 games
yards.
in 2020.
He is a dynamic running back. You get cheaper, and you group him with Warren or draft pick. It'd be good to have multiple weapons at running back that are dynamic and take it to the house. That's what the fuck we don't have. That's what the fuck we don't need. Goddamn. Like,
there's 10 guys in the draft who can take it to the house.
Fucking house. I never
there's
10 to the fucking house. You get Dobbins, he
Yeah.
takes it to the house. You get a fucking guy drafted, he can maybe take it to the house. Group them together, you hardly pay any fucking money. You can go get a wide receiver, maybe 2. It works for me. I like it.
I like that.
And how about this?
$7 million is towards the top of the running back market.
And he's not even the only one I could talk about. Dowdle had 1,000 yards running for the Cowboys too. His market value is not that bad either. There's these guys you could get out there that are dynamic. They ain't going to cost us a lot of money. That's all I'm trying to say.
I mean, I get your point, Dave.
I'm kind of with David on this because the thing is what if you got somebody like a Dobbins, somebody like that's a proven commodity, even if he has some injury history, I agree, it brings the price tag down, and you have him in that Cordarrelle Patterson role or that he's like a 2B or whatever the hell you want to call him, and then you go draft another guy, because my concern about drafting two guys is that's two unknowns. I mean, look, when we drafted Najee Harris, we obviously expected him to be somebody different than what he ended up being in the pros. Do you know what I mean? So is that a function of the difference between college and the pros? Is that something about the Steelers? Is that something about Harris? And then how do you know that doesn't happen again with whatever two players?
Here's the thing.
They're not going to draft two guys. They're not going to draft two running backs.
They could.
I don't know what
they could. I mean,
one early and one later.
But here's the thing: that market value, spot track's always high, right, Dave? They're usually higher.
Yeah.
Okay, so 7.3 might not actually be.
He's not. I don't think he's going to get 7.3.
It could be 5 million. You know, I don't know. I'm just saying. I think that's low to go grab a guy that, yes, if he can stay healthy, he's going to produce for you. I mean, we watched him when we faced them. You could tell the guy's got it. He is a very dynamic player for them, for the Chargers, and could be for us on the cheap. That's the way I look at it.
I don't think
there's any Steelers fan
who's going to be there at 21. I think
if you can find a running back in the draft and say we'll say the 4th or 5th round that could be a really good running back that takes it to the house like that, like what we need.
I like this one.
Okay.
How about this one? Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. How about this one?
I like that one. You could probably get Chubb pretty cheap.
Nick Chubb's another one. I don't know what he would cost. That's why I didn't.
I think you get him pretty cheap.
I didn't know if he would be a higher that next bracket of money. Like I didn't know.
What about Aaron Jones?
I like Aaron Jones.
Aaron
too.
Jones, I wouldn't mind at all.
Aaron Jones.
Isn't Aaron like 32 though?
You know, he would be it would be the Cordell Patterson role, I think, as well.
Okay.
He's 30 years old.
And David, from a Steelers perspective, I don't know. David, from a Steelers perspective, I agree about the J.K. Dobbins. While he may not be healthy and stay on the field, every single time the Steelers played the Ravens and he played, I was deathly afraid to play J.K. Dobbins. I hated playing J.K. Dobbins because I knew he was going to produce against us, and so the fact that we didn't have to play him a lot made me feel good. So you are that name didn't come into my head until you said that. But when you said that, I'm like, if I could have him on my side rather than hoping to play against him, I will take that because J.K. Dobbins has given me more heart palpitations.
To me, it'd be a cheap sign that is a dynamic player that we need. We need more guys.
It would be a
like
risk,
that.
Good point. I like that.
So you're seriously suggesting that we re-sign Jaylen Warren, who's going to be cheap, and then pair him with an old, slow running back?
Oh,
Dobbins
he's not slow.
Old. He's not old or slow. What are you talking about?
Guy who had 6 leg injuries always get better.
He's proven he's
older.
been fast. When he takes it to house 61 yards, Bob. What the fuck are you talking about? He's not old. He's 26. Is that old now? He's not slow.
Played 5 years in the
You're
NFL.
dead wrong.
What's the average for an NFL running back?
You're wrong on both.
What's the average for the NFL running back, David?
I understand that. I know he had 4.9, but he was playing injured towards the end of the season. That's why it lowered that average. Before
He's
that,
been playing injured his whole career.
He was at a 6.2 average before he got hurt and started playing hurt.
Yeah.
6.2.
So we're going to go get an old, slow running back.
And then now, if
he's not old. He can be injured, but that's not old.
He's not slow.
You got Jaylen Warren as your veteran. You draft a running back.
Not slow.
We still need somebody else.
That's fine. They've got 2 spots open.
Right. We still need somebody else.
What if they don't get Jaylen?
No. Hopefully we have 2 spots open, right?
It's only 1 spot right now. Don't jump the gun.
They have the first. They have the first right of refusal on Jaylen Warren. They're not going to not get Jaylen Warren.
Jaylen Warren's coming back.
You're right. They should. I would like to.
Jaylen Warren's
restricted agents. He's not going to cost that much. I'd like to think so, but you never know. Somebody could go over with him. It could happen.
Now with Jaylen Warren, I don't. If someone else signs him, do we get compensated? That whole thing confused me. Is there?
They can match any offer, so that usually dissuades anybody from even trying. And restricted free agents never leave. Never. It never
Would
happens.
you guys be okay with Genty in the first round?
I think John is making fun of us now.
I haven't watched a lot of Genty, to be honest, but the running back in the first round thing is scary to me. I just don't think it's good. It's a good process.
Down this road, and you know,
you can make the argument Genty's better than Najee. I don't know. I don't know.
He's not Jahmyr Gibbs. He's not Bijan Robinson. He's not a first round talent. He's a good running back who should go in the second round. Somebody might take him at the end of the first.
Yeah.
I don't want the Steelers.
He's going in the first round, Bob. And Genty's going in the first round.
100%.
You think so?
And I think not before 21.
I mean, 2,000 yard back. Right.
He's definitely going in the first round.
And
I want to draft him.
That's not that unique in college. That's really not that unique
back?
in college.
Okay. How many guys did it in college this past year?
Genty. Genty is
he's a unique talent.
Well, no, I'm asking a question. Did a lot of guys do 2,000 yards this past season in college? I'm asking. Did they?
No, I don't think. I think he was the
How
only
many
one.
did it?
Hold on, I'm looking it up.
It's the backwards thing because when we took Najee, it felt like a backwards pick. Like I'm like, that's a good pick, but we need that in 3 years. There's other things you need before this. So I was really happy we took Najee. But if we take a running back again in that first round, I'm like, you're backwards. We need other things.
Yeah,
so
no,
you
yeah,
take
we
a
can't
running
do
back
it.
in the first round when you're a running back away.
That's how I feel.
Mark says we need to get a big back.
Wouldn't mind that.
I don't know. I'd like to get a back with some speed.
I want speed. That's Leanne. I've been saying that for years now. They need speed at running back.
Yep. So get someone speed. Go with
those are rare guys.
Get a big
yeah,
guy.
2 different guys.
Because what defenses I love doing the defenses is you mess them up with that speedy guy, then you bring in a ground and pound guy and you exhaust them, then you bring the speedy guy back in, and they have. I like defenses when their heads are turning and they're not sure which direction, and you need that 1-2 punch.
Yeah, I mean,
I hope we go for that.
We've seen these teams. I mean, it's speed. It's speed that kills.
Yeah, I took Dylan Sampson in my latest mock. He's from Tennessee. He's a good back. He ran a 4.3. He's a track guy. Someone like that who's going to add some dynamic stuff to your offense. That's what they need. I mean, Dave knows. I wanted that Detroit running back so bad.
Do with Saquon. I mean, it really is like an NFL offensive course on how to set up defenses for failure. Do you know what I mean? It's masterful what they're able to do with him, and it's him that's opening their offense up. It's not to say they don't have other playmakers, but it allows those other playmakers to eat because he is so
absolutely. Absolutely.
And as far as Genty in the 2,000 yards, he's the first guy since 2019 when 4 guys did it in 2019. Who are the 4 guys? Jonathan Taylor, pretty good. Was not a first-round draft pick. Malcolm Perry.
I don't know who that was.
J.K. Dobbins, Dave's new friend. And
I know J.K. Dobbins did it.
So
Chuba Hubbard's pretty good. So 3 out of the 4 were pretty good.
But it's not unique.
So 3 out of 4
been how many years?
But none of them were first rounds.
No, I get it. I'm just saying it's not as unique, though. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not unique.
I'm
sorry. It is.
And
it is.
I would think
because if that's the first one to do it in how many years?
4.
That's unique.
2019.
I was hoping to hear that more than just him did it just this past season. If we're making the point that it's not unique.
It's not. There's a bunch of guys who have done it since.
It's been 4 years, 5 years. That sounds kind of unique to me.
No, it actually surprised me because college.
4 guys did it in 2019. 4.
Bro, Ashton Genty is not the fastest back.
Years ago, though, Bob. That's
not
a long time ago.
He's not the fastest back in the draft. He's not.
Who?
The guy I just brought up, Dylan Sampson, ran a 4.3. Genty doesn't run a 4.3.
I was going to say Genty's not the fastest.
No, he's not.
I'm not saying that.
No, it was in the chat.
Also, I'm not trying to make a case here for them to draft him in the first round. By the way,
that's not my point.
Please don't. Please don't.
At all. Just to be clear, because I just think what the guy did is a really big achievement. 2,000 yards. I think that's pretty good.
It's happened 30 times over the last 30 years.
Okay,
it's kind of
1 year. So that's
how
a 1
many
year
running backs in college are there?
Yeah. That's pretty unique, though. I mean,
that's a good point. That's the difference.
And he did it. And he did it against some big time teams.
Nothing. I'm not saying it's nothing. But I'm also saying it doesn't mean you're going to be awesome.
30 times in 30 years. That's an average of 1 running back per year. So I mean, with there being how many colleges? I don't know.
256 or something.
So to me, it's unique.
Yeah, but it's not a guarantee. If you look back, okay,
no, and I'm not saying that.
Barry Sanders.
No, there's no guarantee.
I'm not, Bob. Yeah. I'm not saying that, bud. I'm not saying that like that guarantees are going to be a great running back. But it's a nice thing to have on your resume.
It is,
but
and
out of these 30, I bet you couldn't name 20 of them.
Right. I don't.
Well, probably not.
I don't argue that.
Oh, some play for small schools, which makes
pretty good.
Which makes Dave's point even more because you're playing for a small school, playing against small schools.
Division One. This is just Division
One. But there are degrees of Division One school. I mean, if they're playing for freaking San Diego State,
Division fucking 5. If you fucking run for 2,000 yards and nobody's done it in 5 years, that sounds pretty good to me. I think that's a unique thing to have on your resume. I mean, to me personally.
It's not 2,000 in the NFL, but it's still impressive. Right. No, I thought it was going to be more, to be very honest. I thought it was going to be, considering how wide open college NFL offenses, I thought it was going to be more. It surprised me there was only 30 in 30 years.
Remember, this is only in the top level college. We're not counting Division 2 and 3 guys who did it.
Just Power 5, probably, right, Bob?
Well, it's Division 1, which is
Division 1. The smallest school on here, and surprisingly, they've had 2 different guys do it, is San Diego State. That's the smallest college that's had one. You could make an argument Boise State's probably a little bit smaller.
It definitely is.
Maybe Tulane. But I mean,
as long as
these are Tulane.
Yeah. All right. I mean, but these are Oklahoma State, Wisconsin, USC, Alabama. I mean, they're
I'm not a Rico Dowdle fan. I don't know about you guys.
I think he's a free agent.
I don't know enough about him, to be honest.
Is he a free agent?
Yes, he's on my list of guys.
He's kind of a smaller back, right? I don't know.
I got here. He had 1,039 yards, 2 TDs, 3 fumbles, 249 yards receiving. His longest carry was 27 yards. 27 years old.
Well, what are we trading for?
1.2 million.
He's too old for Bob.
No, he's.
I don't want any free agent running back. I think
I kind of don't either.
Money. He was 1.2 million. He just made this past season, but he's a free agent.
He's going to make a little bit of money.
And here's the thing: like I get it. If you guys just want to go the draft route, fine. That's
you still need somebody else.
We have somebody else, Jalen Warren.
I think
we still need somebody other than just him.
Yeah, we do.
We have 2 running backs. We have to.
That's why you draft one, and you should be fine. I mean, it's not like
find another undrafted free agent.
Yeah, maybe.
You try. They're good at it.
2 rookies make me nervous.
Yeah, Jalen Warren was terrible.
It doesn't make me as nervous at running back.
He was terrible. I said rookies make me nervous.
Yeah, and they do. They do for me too, Leanne. But running back's a little different. It's a little easier to translate to the NFL than other positions.
Like wide receiver, wide receiver.
No, it's not like wide receiver.
Wide receiver scares me so bad. Running back. I mean, Gibbs last year did
even more now.
Well, and
on most other teams, Dave, rookie wide receivers hit pretty easily. Well, but this fucking team, this train's running so fast that it's it becomes a problem. But we saw a ton of rookie wide receivers go off this year. Malik Neighbors, that's all I'm going to say.
From Miami, who's projecting out to the 4th round. He looks like he's going to be a pretty good player. Trevor Etienne is going to be in the 4th round. He looks like a pretty good player.
What was the first one you said, Bob? Bob, what was the first one you said? I didn't hear you.
Martinez. I think his first name's Damian from Miami. He's kind of a hybrid, bigger back, but he's not Najee Derrick Henry big. But he's a little bit bigger back. Trevor Etienne's a little more built like Jalen Warren. If we got somebody like Etienne and Warren as a backfield, they're both decisive one-cut runners. That's what we need with a bad offensive line. We need decisive one-cut runners who just barrel it up in there and make the 2, 3, 4 yards.
Yep. Yeah, I got you.
I think we have to really hope that we're not the team with a bad offensive line next year. I mean, getting back Saltanu, whatever the fuck is wrong with Broderick Jones is sorted out by his 3rd year. And, whoever we get to replace James Daniels and whoever else, we lose. I mean, I certainly hope that is all that we've invested in that line, that they're not the bad offensive line anymore.
I was going to say, do you think McCormick won the job? Did McCormick win the job?
Yeah.
I think so.
I would think that. I wouldn't mind them replacing Sayamalu and spending some money on that other guard spot. Like I said this a couple podcasts ago.
It's his last season.
He's terrible. He's
Whoa, Sam Allen? I mean,
He's
I wouldn't
not
go that
terrible.
far. Yeah,
He's not good. He hasn't been good. That's been another free agent signing that hasn't. He's been very inconsistent. Let's put it that way. Can we agree he's been very inconsistent?
He had a couple.
I would say slightly above average.
Yeah, I didn't think he was.
Okay, I can live with it. But let's go get a Pro Bowler at that position, someone that can anchor the offensive line.
And guards. How much did he have to go overboard to overcompensate for someone to his left not being a good too?
Yeah, it's possible.
You guys agree with John that we have more needs than draft picks, and the priority should be to build up both trenches more this year. The O-line is a finished product, and they need D-line.
We cannot draft another offensive.
I was going to say, you can't draft another
offensive line.
If they do that first round again, I'll lose my mind.
Yeah, no offensive lineman, but defense. I would really like us to dip our toe into the defensive line.
I'm with you, Leanne.
I would really like that.
Best player available. If that kid from Penn State, the tight end, falls to them, Tyler Warren, just draft the kid.
Ooh.
Just draft it and figure it out.
Bro,
that'd be fun.
He's fun. I didn't even really watch him too much, but then someone brought it up to me, and I went and looked at him. He's fucking phenomenal.
Dude,
the kid's phenomenal.
I watched him, and I mean,
he's everything you want Freiermuth to be. That Freiermuth isn't.
The catches he made, incredible. Like,
just take a good player. This is what the Steelers need in the first round. Just take a good player. It doesn't, regardless of position.
Go look up Tyler Warren in the USC game this year.
Yeah, I watched a bunch of it, dude. I watched a bunch of it. I couldn't stop watching when I started. I was like, "Holy crap, this kid's so good."
Yeah, he's good. He's good. Are you guys doing a legendary pick show for the Super Bowl?
Ooh,
well, next week. Super Bowl.
That's what I'm just asking in general if you were doing.
Yeah, we should do something like that.
Yeah, we're gonna something.
Relic said he wants my picks. You never get to hear my picks. Yeah, because I don't do that. He said
he doesn't do it. We've invited her.
you get out. You get out. That's what you get.
I'll say this, Relic. I think that it's going to be hard for the Eagles to overcome the refs helping the Chiefs out.
A lot of things. Yeah.
I think that's going to be really hard. But for who I'm rooting for, as much as I hate them and hate Philadelphia and all, I don't even like the color green. Like, I got to root for the Eagles because I cannot have the Chiefs do like 3 Super Bowls in a row. And then I have some other reasons why I don't like them that I won't go into on the show.
Oh, John, I get what you're saying. Banking on Jones is smart.
Yeah,
we've already said we'd bring in a free agent. I mean, I think
who's a free agent? Kelvin Beachum would be a perfect swing tackle backup in case, break glass in case of emergency.
Isn't he 40?
No, he's like 30. I'm talking. You're talking about a swing tackle. You're not going to get a 25-year-old to come and back up Broderick Jones.
Bob,
they're not going to.
I saw you chuckle. So what is it?
I didn't like Kelvin Beachum the first time. But I definitely don't want to see him.
He's played some pretty good ball in Arizona.
I can't dispute that. He's been okay in Arizona.
As a backup tackle, I mean,
I think we should call up John Kolb and see what he's doing.
26 is old for a running back, but let's bring Beachum in because Vaughn thinks he's about 75.
Who are you going to get as a backup tackle? Are you going to get a 25-year-old? No one's. We're talking backups here. You guys are so picky.
Did you see Beachum coming onto the field with like his walker?
Yeah.
I hate to break it to all you, but he played a hell of a lot better than Broderick Jones did last year. That would be a super upgrade. At 50.
I don't know how closely you guys have looked at the free agents, but the top 20 free agents, it's a lousy list.
It's
there
not
is not going to be a lot.
No, they're not solving any problems in free agency.
I will be doing that.
Let's put it this way.
Justin Fields is a top. Pickens is going anywhere.
Yeah, Justin Fields.
I'm at the point where you just hold your nose and bring him back because you have to.
I think they have to. I think they want to let him go, but I think business decisions.
I know it's pony. But he reported today that the Steelers are going to throw 30 to 35 million at T. Higgins. I don't want them to get desperate.
Throw that much at Brandon Ayuk, right?
I know, but
you would have to take. You would have to pay.
You would.
Well,
I don't know. Is T. Higgins? T. Higgins is good, but is he top of the market? Good?
Is he that good? That's the question.
Yeah, is he top of the market?
For us,
I don't see T. Higgins and Justin Jefferson in the same.
Look, it's the same way when you're out walking around in the zoo in the heat of the day, and some guy's selling water, and he can sell it to you for $8 a bottle.
That's my point.
$2 you pay outside of the zoo because you need it so badly when you're in there, and that's where we are with wide receiver. And it's not just the Steelers; it's not exclusive to us. It's any team that desperately needs somebody. You're going to get milked a little bit, and I mean that's the point where we are. We need him more than he needs us, and so they're going to pay for that.
Yeah,
they have to pay for that. They have to do the right thing and just do it.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Relic,
that's not true. That's clickbait. What? My mom sent it to me earlier today. I looked into it. It is not reputable. Ignore it.
Yeah, that's not true.
Yeah,
Relic.
I was just going to say.
Got that down earlier from somebody on one of the Facebook pages that sent it in. Yeah, that's a clickbait article. 100%. Does T. Higgins get injured a lot? I didn't think he got injured a lot.
I didn't think so.
He got injured a lot.
He was injured this
but I don't remember off the top of my
not
head.
nearly as much as J.K. Dobbins last season.
Fair. All right, guys. Any closing thoughts? Any final thoughts? Anything else you want to get off your chest before we put another week in the books?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. If you've been here joining us in the chat, we really appreciate all of your comments. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. It definitely helps us out. You can follow all of us on social media, as well as the Sanctuary podcast page and the Steelers Sanctuary page. We will be back on Monday evening at 6:30 for our next episode. Look forward to seeing you then.